After Reacher Season 4's production update, there's one character Neagley's spinoff needs to include. Prime Video's Reacher Season 4 is officially in production, and while that's exciting news for fans of Alan Ritchson's no-nonsense drifter hero, it also signals the rising momentum for the Reacher-verse to expand. With Maria Stenz-France's Neagley already established as a standout supporting character across multiple seasons, the stage is set for her to lead her own spin-off. But as Neagley takes center stage, there's one character the potential spin-off must include, and it's not Jack Reacher. It's someone who could define the show's heart, its tone, and its legacy, Carla Dixon. Though introduced in Reacher Season 2, Carla Dixon, played by Serene DeSwan, made a quiet but powerful impact on the series, and more importantly, on Neagley. The two former MPs have shared history, mutual respect, and the kind of layered chemistry rarely found in action thrillers. With Reacher destined to move from story to story and town to town, it's Carla Dixon who could anchor Neagley's spinoff emotionally and thematically. In many ways, she's the missing piece that could make Neagley's solo show more than just an action series. She could make it matter. Neagley's spinoff is coming, and it needs more than muscle. France's Neagley is a fan favorite for good reason. She's loyal, brilliant, fiercely competent, and can snap a man's wrist in a single move, all without losing her calm. In both the Lee Child novels and the Prime Video adaptation, she is a rare example of a woman in military fiction who is never reduced to a love interest or damsel trope. Neagley is a professional, and she lives by an internal code that rivals even Reacher's. But while that stoicism is part of her appeal, it also presents a creative challenge for a solo series. Neagley is guarded to the point of reclusion. Her deep-seated aversion to physical touch, her emotional distance, and her strict moral compass could easily become obstacles in carrying a show, unless the narrative includes characters who can break through her defenses. That's where Carla Dixon comes in. Carla Dixon is the ideal foil for Neagley. Dixon is more than just another soldier. She's perceptive, assertive, and carries herself with a quiet warmth that balances Neagley's emotional reserve. In Reacher Season 2, it was clear that Dixon had history with both Reacher and Neagley. Her inclusion wasn't just for nostalgia. It was meant to show how this group, the 110th Special Investigators Unit, functioned as more than a military team. They were a family. And within that family, Dixon and Neagley had a unique dynamic. Their scenes together in Season 2 were subtle but telling. There was trust, but also tension, the kind that forms between two people who have been through hell together and survived by developing very different coping mechanisms. Dixon, who seems more emotionally open, could act as a counterbalance to Neagley's quiet intensity. If Neagley's spinoff is going to explore her psyche, Dixon should be the mirror that reflects her most vulnerable parts. Season 4 is likely Neagley's last Reacher appearance, and a perfect transition point. The update that Reacher Season 4 is officially filming is great news for fans, but it also suggests the show's commitment to introducing new arcs and gradually moving supporting characters like Neagley out of Reacher's direct orbit. With every new season adapting a different novel and Reacher always traveling alone, characters like Neagley can't realistically stick around forever. That's why Season 4 could act as a transitional bridge for Neagley. She can still appear alongside Reacher, but her subplot can plant the seeds for her eventual departure. Whether that's in the form of a new personal mission, a government job, or a return to the private sector, Dixon's reappearance could be the catalyst. Maybe Dixon recruits her for something that requires both of their expertise. Maybe they've both had enough of wandering and are ready to build something of their own, like a private investigative agency or even a classified government task force. Either way, if Neagley is breaking away from Reacher, Dixon should be the one pulling her forward. Dixon is unfinished business. Unlike Roscoe from Season 1 or other temporary allies, Carla Dixon's arc felt intentionally unresolved. In Reacher Season 2, she was a calm and strategic force, but she didn't get a true conclusion. There were hints at her feelings for Reacher, but even more compelling were the moments that hinted at how much she respected and depended on Neagley. Neagley, in turn, never verbalized anything, but her actions were loud enough. When Dixon was endangered, Neagley didn't hesitate. There's an unspoken loyalty between them that deserves to be explored further. More importantly, it deserves to evolve. Bringing Dixon into Neagley's spinoff wouldn't just serve the fans, it would serve the characters. It would allow them both to become more than supporting players in someone else's story. They'd finally be able to define themselves without Reacher at the center. A Neagley-Dixon team-up can forge a new tone. One of the most exciting possibilities for a Neagley-led spin-off is how different it could feel from Reacher. While Reacher's show thrives on brute force logic, gritty tension, and Reacher's unstoppable momentum, a Neagley spin-off could explore the quieter, psychological layers of investigation. Think about the tone of True Detective mixed with the precise proceduralism of Mindhunter. A show starring Neagley and Dixon could explore cases that Reacher would walk away from because they're too drawn out, too bureaucratic, or too emotionally complex. Neagley could be the stoic tactician, and Dixon the emotionally intuitive investigator. Together, they'd make a team capable of unraveling conspiracies that require both brain and brawn, but with less emphasis on bar fights and more on internal conflict. Dixon brings heart. Neagley brings edge. Together, they could give the Reacher-verse a voice it's never had. There's precedent in the books. Lee Child's Reacher novels, and now Andrew Child's contributions, have always hinted at the vastness of Reacher's former world. While Reacher is the focus, his fellow MPs, especially those from the 110th, are depicted as elite operators. Neagley appears in multiple books, including Bad Luck and Trouble, The Affair, and The Sentinel. In most of these, she's either leading her own operation or providing Reacher with critical intel from afar. While Carla Dixon only appears in Bad Luck and Trouble, her competence and connection to both Reacher and Neagley make her a prime candidate for expansion. The spin-off doesn't need to follow the books to the letter. In fact, that's what makes this opportunity so exciting. It's a chance to build something new using familiar DNA. Dixon can explore what Reacher and Neagley can't. Jack Reacher is a myth. Neagley is a fortress. But Dixon? She's still human. She bleeds, she questions, and she connects. She's the character who can bridge the gap between the audience and the aloof brilliance of her allies. She asks the questions viewers ask. She empathizes. She remembers birthdays. And in a show that risks becoming too cold, too efficient, or too closed off emotionally, Dixon's presence is essential. She's the window in. And for Neagley, who often struggles with vulnerability, Dixon may be the only person who sees through the armor. Their dynamic could evolve into something that redefines female partnerships in action television, not as rivals, not as romantic interests, but as equals. Professionals. Friends. Sisters in arms. Casting chemistry already exists. Maria Sten and Serinda Swan have already proven they have on-screen chemistry, the kind of quiet, mutual respect that doesn't need flashy lines or romantic tension to be compelling. That's exactly the kind of relationship that modern television needs more of. The show wouldn't need to manufacture drama between them. The stakes are already there. Both women are survivors of war, of trauma, and of